Well, I sold my AC30. Again. Hey everyone, I'm Jack Fossett and welcome to Real Guitar Talk. This is a series I started last year doing discussions about things that I think pertain to the modern guitar player that I haven't heard discussed in an open way. It doesn't mean that they haven't been done, I just haven't at least heard it myself. Today I want to talk about gear that we want to love more than we actually do, and how we picture ourselves as guitar players and how that influences the gear that we purchase. And I'm going to talk about this specific incident regarding my AC30 instance, not incident. It wasn't really an incident, it actually went very smoothly. Regardless, the marketing of guitar gear is very interesting to me because it's really not marketed in the traditional ways. In fact, I remember getting into guitar. I actually wrote a paper in college about why there aren't commercials on TV for guitar players. And one of the biggest things is influences, and the influences that you play and the gear that they use tend to really direct what we buy. And that can at times be in conflict with who we actually are musically, finding our own sound versus trying to sound like our heroes on guitar. You know, no one has sold more Stratocasters than Clapton and Hendrix, and I suppose you could say Stevie Ray Vaughan too, but you get my point, is that Fender doesn't need to put out ads for the Stratocaster, they just need to share a video of Eric Clapton playing Layla, or of Jimi Hendrix playing Voodoo Child. Joe Bonamassa brought Les Pauls back to blues in a way that they hadn't been for years, because everyone wanted to play Stratocasters for a while for blues, and then he brought them back, and now all the young kids want to play Les Pauls for blues to get that cool blues rock tone. The issue kind of becomes when you're figuring out who you are. Sometimes you've gone so far down this rabbit hole of trying to be like your heroes that now you have to do a whole overhaul. Now, I'm in a lucky position doing gear reviews and having access to so much gear that I've really been able to sort of zero in on what my sound is. But honestly, even that has been somewhat by chance. It's been like, okay, I'm getting ready to go to a gig or I'm getting ready to go to a recording session. When the pedal hits the metal, what guitar am I going to grab? What amp am I going to grab? Now, I certainly go through phases, like a lot of players go through phases. Sometimes I'm feeling more this way, sometimes I'm feeling more that way. But believe it or not, in my early days, I 100% pictured myself as a Vox player. My first, I'll say serious amp, even though it was a lower level one, was a Vox Valvetronics. It was the second generation one that had the like metal silver grill cloth. I really wanted the first generation Valvetronics that had the cool blue-green diamond grill cloth, but I managed to afford the second one. And then later on, one of my first really serious amps was an AC30. This was the CC2 with the Wharfdales. One of my favorite guitar players still to this day, and one of my early influences, believe it or not, even though I don't sound anything like him, is Brian May. And he has always kind of been on the outskirts of guitar heroes, which is odd to me because he's written some of the most iconic guitar leads of all time. But he's somehow not usually in the regular mix of guitar players that we think of the, Jimmy Page and Clapton and Hendrix and Slash and all these guys. He's sort of out here, and I don't really understand that. But anyway, it was unique that he played AC30s the way that he did. And so I kind of pictured myself doing that, but then in a different musical context. And for a while, I played with AC30s and got unique tones. But the more I got into gear, the more I got into playing other amps and things, the more I found myself gravitating towards other things. Part of that is that I honestly don't think Vox is making the best AC30 right now. I think they're kind of relying on the name more than they should. Now, I've done a lot of videos about AC30s, and I've talked about this extensively. I still do stand by everything that I've said. Like, hey, if I had to take an AC30 out on a tour, I would 100% be like, all right, let's do this. I know how to get the tones out of it. I can get some great unique tones out of it. The point is that, when you talk about them versus other amps kind of in the same price range and in the same relative style genre-wise, what's good for blues, for rock, for classic rock, I don't think it stands up to its competition. And I think part of it is that it seemed to me that Korg is sort of treating Vox like they're just a side project for some modeling things for the most part. But it was still sad to me because this was probably the best AC30 that I've owned. It was the one with the blue dogs, the Celestian blue speakers, and it sounded the best. It was just really good. It had this really cool, textured Tolex and things, and I had never had one like that. And I didn't want to sell it. I was selling it because we are expecting our seventh child. Can you believe that? And now is a great time to mention, hey, if you want to support the channel, that's right. I rely on support from viewers like you. No, but seriously. If you want to support the channel, in the description below, you're going to find my PayPal and Venmo. Feel free to send me a tip. If you send me a tip of $7 or more, I'm going to give you access to a website where you can get all my music downloads, including jam tracks, and that's for anything that I record. You're always going to have access to that website, always be able to download new songs and jam tracks. Also, you will find a link to a gear recommendations website, which has affiliate links. If you do any shopping through those links, I get commission at no additional cost to you. So if you're in the market for new gear, check out that gear recommendation site, and I've also got affiliate links on most of my review videos nowadays, so if you do any shopping through those, that helps out my channel. Back to the subject. I had to sell gear because we're expecting a baby, and sometimes you're just in a position in life where you have to sell gear. So looking at the gear that I want to sell, and that was just the one where I went, I've had this one for over a year, and I haven't even thought about bringing it to a gig once because it's just not what I want to use live. I don't think it'll sound as good as these other amps that I have live. Also, it's not as much me as maybe one day I pictured myself being as a Vox person. So that was the one that had to go. Now, luckily, I sold it to, a young college band who were absolutely thrilled to have it and, going to do great things with it. I hope, and they certainly hope. So I wish them the best, and again, I think they can use it for good things. It's not like it's junk. It's not like gear is junk or it's perfect. There's all kinds of stuff in the middle. But I wanted to bring this up because I'm sure there are many of you out there who pictured yourself as one thing, and sort of through a series of moves, growth, transition, sometimes what you're listening to changes, sometimes just what you try out changes it, you become something totally different than what you once were. And so I'm very curious to hear, what have you all experienced regarding this? What did you picture yourself as versus what did you become? What gear did you want to love more than you actually wound up loving? I'll be perfectly honest, I'll probably get an AC30 again someday. I think this time around, that being my fourth one, out of the four I've had, two of them I sold. Believe it or not, two of them I traded for super reverbs, which is a really weird coincidence, but it's the truth. But what gear did you picture yourself using, or did you really just want to like because of the image around it, because of the brand name sometimes, because of the players who used it? What did you want to like that you just couldn't like? Whether because it wasn't your sound, or, unfortunately, particularly with bigger companies, was it just that their quality wasn't what you wanted it to be? Was it you were expecting, oh, this amazing tube amp or this amazing guitar from this brand, and then you went to play it and you're like, this is really not that good. They need to be doing better. Now, all companies kind of go through ebbs and flows. Gibson was pretty maligned about 10 years ago, and now they're putting out really great guitars. Fender has certainly gone through some pretty serious ups and downs, and I haven't been a fan of their products lately. Vox has been kind of stuck in this rut, I think, for a little bit. I would love to see them revamp it. Some companies actually go away and then the name gets bought by somebody, so that's a whole can of some unfortunate small insect to jump into. But let us know in the comments, what gear do you want to love more than you actually love? Have you given it multiple tries? Does it have to do with your influences? Please let us know in the comments. I'm Jack Fossett. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.